So in this video, I will share to you my 10 reflections in final. So let's begin. So I'll start my reflection on the history of terrorism in the Philippines. So in this lesson, it talks about the group of people that causes terrorism in the Philippines, and these are the group of people that causes terrorism in the Philippines: the Abu Sayyaf, the MILF, and the NPA. Well, I don't say anything about myself in this lesson because terrorism is not a solution in our society's problem, and I don't need violence just to voice out what I fight for or the things I want people to know. However, this lesson is very significant and related to me because there are people who discriminate my religion and calling me terrorist because I am a Muslim. And some people think that Islam is a terrorist religion. I think it's still present nowadays because terrorism is still happening right now. I felt bad to the people who suffer from terrorism because terrorism brought destruction in our country and killed many innocent people, and it increases poverty, and all of that because of their worthless ways showing what they want or what they believe. So the example of terrorism is the Marawi siege, and it killed thousands. Let's proceed into the role of Islam in the history of the Filipino people by Cesar Adib Majul. So in this lesson, it talks about the role and contribution of the Islam in the Philippines, because as I know, many people believe that Islam only brought nothing but terrorism because they thought that all Muslim people are terrorists. But this lesson is one of the proof that Islam has a contribution into the Philippines. What I've seen in myself as an Islam is that I have ruled in this community, society, and country just like the Islam people before. I think it's still present nowadays because every Islam has a role in this country to fulfill for not being just a Muslim or Islam, but as well as for being a Filipino citizen in this country. To be honest, I felt proud and honored as an Islam because of these people. Their contribution into this country makes me proud, and I don't regret that I was born Islam because I know to myself that Muslim people is a good citizen in this country. So let's move on into the minutes of the proceeding on the national territory of the 1971 Constitutional Convention. So in this lesson, it talks about the Philippines territory and the belongings of the Philippines territory. What I've seen in myself about this lesson is that the things that I own, the things that I have cannot be taken by anyone, especially for those things that has a title. I know it's still present nowadays because Philippines territory still belongs to the Philippines. But there are conflicts between the Chinese territory and the Philippines territory because the China is claiming the West Philippine Sea. I felt happy that what this country's territory will remain into this country no matter what. However, I felt sad that the West Philippine Sea is taken by the Chinese people or the China. So let's move forward into the agreement on peace between the government of the Republic of the Philippines and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. So in this lesson, it discusses the agreement on peace between the government of the Philippines and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, or also known as MILF. So MILF is one of the rebellious group against the government. So what I've seen in myself about this lesson is that I always choose peace rather than violence and fighting because if I will choose violence rather than peace, it will lead to nothing but problems. I always prefer peace and agreement to the issues or problems that I'm involved, and for the things what I fight for, I will fight for it in the right way, and I will not do it with violence because I know to myself that it is not the best and recommendable solutions in dealing problems into myself and to the societal's problem. I think this agreement between the government of the Republic of the Philippines and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front is still present nowadays. I felt happy that they come up with an agreement because it is one way to stop the war between MILF and the government of the Philippines, and I know that if they didn't come up with this agreement, the bloodshed won't stop. So let's move on into my fifth reflection, the report of the cholera epidemic in the Philippines. So in this lesson, it discusses the report of the cholera epidemic in the Philippines happened in 1902 to 1904. What I've seen in this lesson about myself is my past experience about this kind of disease. Because of my past experiences about this disease, I told to myself that I will become more careful in eating food and drinking water, and I prayed that I will never experience it again. Well, I can say that this disease is not present because I never knew that it will never happen again. But for today, I don't hear any news about this disease. I felt traumatized because of my past experiences of this kind of disease. That's why we must or I must be careful in choosing food or drinking water, and it must be clean. So let's continue with my sixth reflection, the Little Tokyo of the pre-war Philippines. So in this lesson, it discussed the Little Tokyo of the pre-war Philippines. And before the World War II happened, there are Japanese people who became successful with their businesses in the Philippines before the World War II. And when the World War II began, they flew and left something into this country. What I've seen about this lesson into myself is that one day the things that I work for or the things what I've done and the memories I made will remain into this world no matter what happened. I think it is still present nowadays because of these people left still here in the Philippines. Well, I don't feel anything special about this lesson because I can't relate about the things that they've left. But it is very significant to me as a Filipino citizen to understand and gain knowledge about the history of this country. So let's move on into my seventh reflection, the inaugural address of His Excellency Benigno E. Aquino III, President of the Philippines. So in this lesson or topic, it discussed the greatness and excellences of the late President Benigno E. Aquino all throughout his term as a President of the Philippines. So what I've seen in myself about this lesson is that I can be also like the late President Benigno E. Aquino, and I wish also to have his characteristic as a person. Right now, I'm striving just like what the late President Benigno E. Aquino did for this country. The difference is I'm striving for myself while Noynoy is striving for this country. And I see that the late President's strive are paid off because we've seen an improvement in this country. I think it's still present nowadays, even though the late president is already passed away, because what he accomplished into this country will remain to his accomplishment as a president of the Philippines. I felt happy because of the accomplishments of the late President Benigno Aquino because it's rare to find that kind of a president. The late President Benigno is Aquino III accomplishments are enough for and I don't need to look for any other because serving a country is very difficult just like shouldering the Filipino people in this country. And as we all know, Noynoy Aquino is one of the people who pushes a good education into this country. Let's move on into my eighth reflection, the inaugural address of His Excellency Rodrigo Roa Duterte, President of the Philippines. So in this topic, it discusses and talks the greatness in and excellencies of the leadership of the 16th President of the Philippines, Rodrigo Roa Duterte, and also known as Digong. What I've seen in myself about this topic is that I usually work hard and I have perseverance and determination to become successful someday after finishing my education. President Rodrigo Roa Duterte is one of my inspiration that I don't need a high grades to become successful someday. And I do believe that grades won't define every people's successes. I think the excellency of the 16th President Rodrigo Roa Duterte is still present nowadays because of his achievements and improvements into the economic of the Philippines is still present today. I felt blessed that Rodrigo Roa Duterte became President of the Philippines because it brought it brought changes and improvements into the economics of the Philippines. And I know that President Rodrigo Roa Duterte is one of the best president in the Philippines so far. So let's move on into my ninth reflection. Statement of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. So the topic being discussed is all about the General Debate 75th Session of the General Assembly, week of 22 September 2020, Tuesday. General Assembly Hall, New York. Theme: The Future We Want, the United Nations We Need. Reaffirming out the collective commitment to multilateralism, confronting COVID-19 through effective multilateral action. So, Philippine Statement, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. What I've seen in this lesson or topic into myself is my past experiences in living my daily lives in those past 2 years of COVID-19 pandemic. Through the COVID-19 pandemic, everything changes and it changes my daily lives routine because of the implementation of the new rules and regulations in dealing the virus spreading. I think it is still present nowadays, but it is not the same as the past 2 years because as for today, I can go anywhere without any validations and vaccination card and wearing face shield, etc. As for now, I know that it's slowly getting back to normal again. Those past experiences makes me feel lifeless because it took everything makes me feel happy because I can play basketball, go to school, hang out with my friends, makes me and it makes me stay whole day in home. But I'm thankful that for today it is getting back to the usual times that I can do those sort of things that makes me lively. So let's proceed into my 10th reflection and the last reflection of the final, the turmoil in Mati, Davao District. So the topic being discussed is all about the turmoil in Mati, Davao District and the rebellious group of people that causes rebellions against the government. So I don't see anything about myself into this topic because I don't see anything right in rebellion. It is It is because rebellion is not a solution in every problem existing in our society. I don't see anything good about it, and it will just put my life in danger. I think it is still present nowadays because rebellion against the government is part of the rebellious group. And as I know, Mati City was attacked by the NPA or New People's Army lately. As long as this group are still here, rebellion won't vanish. I felt afraid because anytime this group will attack and causes problem anytime they want. And that's all. Bye.